Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Theorist, here with your host, Vanity Pride. I know I was away last week. I tried to post something on YouTube, but I'm pretty sure you guys didn't see it. I just kind of left a public comment on my own channel in the hopes that you guys would see it. But anyway, enough of that. I did post on my social media too, so my Facebook, my Twitter, I think I posted on Tumblr as well, like, hey, I'm taking a week off because I was being a good student and, focusing on homework for my acting class. And it was like a short week. It was pretty busy at work too. So I know, excuses. But as promised, today is going to be a twofer. So we're looking at last week's chapter and this week's. I also want to give a shout out to a few of my YouTube commenters. So starting with Alpha Cent 007. I like the 007 part at the end there. Oh, so this was in response to someone who was talking about the laundry. So let me start with them first, actually. So this is, and I'm sorry if I butcher up your name, Niranjan Srikanth. They said, I know they have an invisible inventory and stuff, but where do they keep getting fresh laundry from on the hell train? I can't get by 3 weeks without doing laundry, and I don't even exercise, let alone bleed all over my clothes. Is there a laundromat next to the train guardian's room? Which I loved this comment. Like, it was funny and made me laugh, and it really did get me thinking. I'm like, we don't normally think about that. We're just like, ooh, the action and all that, right? So it's like we don't even take time to think like, oh, like, when do they do laundry? Like, we don't see them do that. I mean, you take any like anime or show or movie, and it's like you don't see people going to the bathroom or, doing these like everyday things. So I mean, like, laundry's part of that, I guess. But yeah, I like the idea of a laundromat being next to the train guardian's room. I like that idea. Though someone was saying that they do get clothes. I forget who commented that. But anyway, shout out to you too, by the way. And then after that was this comment from Alpha Cent that says, thanks, that helps. Why there was no video this week. And I know, I'm sorry. I should have posted like a video being like, hey, I'm not here this week, but next week I'll make it up to you guys. So my apologies again. I try to make these announcements, but it's kind of hard. So anyway, one more comment here, and then we'll dive right into chapter 317. Blog posts and all, or blog notes and all. Because I was debating if I wanted to do the blog notes, because I feel like I took so many notes and like I have a lot to talk about because we have to cover 2 chapters today. 2 chapters. I don't know why I was showing 4 fingers, but anyway, just trying to be, twinning my hands. I don't know, guys. I'm all over the place right now. I'm sorry. All right. So this last comment here. Would love to hear more thoughts and discussion. Oh, by the way, this is James Epperson. I think telling us your reaction to the chapter would be refreshing versus just reading it. There is always so much more to talk/think about after reading a chapter, I feel. I'd like to hear your thoughts and opinions. Since your video is posted after a chapter anyway, you could also bring up any sort of interesting community news or theories. Anyway, thanks for the video. There's not nearly enough for Tog on here. Take care. So first of all, I appreciate your comment. I actually did comment on your video in response to this. So I definitely agree. I feel like when I get caught up doing live reads, I kind of focus more on, let me like voice these characters and read like everything. And so it almost puts me in the spot too, because I can't come up with theories right away. Like if I would have taken the time to like, sit down and read the chapter well before recording and then, just kind of like let my mind process it and be like, what if this thing happens? Or, like, what if it's the other way around? Like, what if this thing happens? And it's easier to come up with my thoughts and theories after I've read a chapter, as opposed to doing live reads. I know some of these videos have been live reads, and I've tried my best, to kind of sneak in some theories here and there. But it is hard being put on the spot, doing something live. So anyway, I do appreciate your comment a lot, and I'm going to do my best today to provide what you're asking for. Although you did praise my review last chapter, so it's a good start, right? So thank you guys. Thank you to everyone who comments on my videos. I know I'm horrible about commenting back. I commented on a few earlier, but, I still got to comment on everyone else's. But I appreciate every single one of you. Please believe me when I say that. All right. So, like I said, we're going to dive into chapter 317 now, which is titled The Last Station Part 2. And we start off with Dorian Frog, who's on call with somebody and like, basically she's complaining about like, oh, like Drock is so lazy, he's like sleeping, like he's not, I was gonna say sleeping around, that would have been bad. He's sleeping, and you know, he's like, it's like he doesn't even care. It's like he got demoted, he's stupid about that, and he's not showing up to this fight. And so honestly, my thoughts on Drock are that he definitely seems smarter than he appears. I feel maybe he went for the demotion just because it was a lot of pressure having his title that he had before. And I mean, it also kind of shows off that he has a carefree attitude. But I also think in turn that like he goes about things his own way. And that's how he likes it. And so, you know, maybe that title that he had before, it was like too much pressure, like I said. And so now it's like, by being demoted, he can kind of do whatever he wants. I mean, he's still at risk of being fired. And I mean, it was pointed out, I think, in like the following chapter, someone's like, oh, he's going to get fired if he keeps this up. But he's also like a rebellious character. And I kind of like that about him, because if he is being rebellious, there's something that he doesn't like about the system or about the army. And so that almost gives us a look into him potentially defecting. So I'd love to see that, because like I love Drock. Like he's my favorite out of all these new characters that have been introduced. And so it's like if he defects and joins Bomb's team, I'll be like so stoked. All right. So then we go to Bomb, who's approaching his team. So his team is referred to as Team A for this plan that Hua Ryun has come up with. So Team A consists of course, Bomb, Rock, Andrasi, Hockney, Misang, and then, of course, Kun, who is unconscious, but he's still part of Team A. And so the plan here is for them to get Kun to safety onto the station. And so Bomb is even telling them, like, hey, this is going to be really risky for us. So if you guys aren't down to take this risk, you can join Team B. So let me go ahead and name who's on Team B currently. So that's Boro, Sachi, Candy, and Irure. And yeah, Bomb's like, if you guys are too afraid to take the risk, go join Team B then. Even though I feel like they're all going to stick around. Like, Andrasi's not going to be willing to let Bomb do this alone. Obviously, Rock, you know, he's like the team leader, right? So he's got to be with his team. And, you know, even like someone from Team B was like, oh, like they're all loyal to each other. So it's not like they're going to give up and be like, oh, no, I'm going to join Team B. So anyway, I feel like I'm repeating myself a lot. Okay, so according to what Hua Ryun had told Bomb and Boro, because they were the ones that were talked to. I think Irure was talked to. Yes, Irure was talked to as well. So anyway, according to what Hua Ryun said, Team A is the team that is most at risk. And, or not, yeah, Team A. Sorry, I'm like mixing myself up now. And that's because they're going to be carrying Kun to safety. But I feel like Team B is the one, hold on, I just got a message, there we go. I feel like Team B is the one that's going to be most at risk, just because they're stepping out of the train first, and they're having to face off against all these dudes from Zahard's army, right? And I mean, we saw numerous of these characters introduced last chapter. So it's like, for them to face off against all these characters who appear to be really strong, and you have Levi as well, who's probably the strongest of all of them, it's like, how are they gonna hold up? You know what I mean? And so I feel like, ooh, shoot, like, we're gonna experience some deaths from Team B, potentially. And that's where I find it risky. But at the same time, for Team A, it's also a risk because one of them is having to carry around Kun, and either Kun himself or the person like helping to carry him is going to be an easy target if Zahard's army catches them sneaking out. Because that's the thing. Team B is going to distract the Zahard's army while Team A is going to like sneak off to go to the station. But it's like, if they get caught, then, you know, some people from the army are going to go and be like halting Team A. And it's like, nah, dude, you're not going to pass. Pulling a Gandalf, basically. But with attacks, you know, more attacks. So, yeah, there's a risk with that too. And it's like they could try and take out Kun because it's like, oh, that dude's unconscious. So he's the weaker one. He's the defenseless one. Let's get rid of him first. Or, like I said, even the person who's carrying Kun, like, I mean, for them to be carrying Kun and trying to defend themselves, or trying to defend both themselves and Kun against these people, that'd be, like, too much, and it's too crazy. But We all like seeing risk, right? I mean, that's what makes the story so compelling and so interesting. And this almost reminds me of my acting class. Like, I'm taking acting classes based on the Meisner technique. And so right now we're at that phase where we're taking scripts, more specifically a scene of a script, not an entire script. That would be a lot of work. But we are taking like a scene, and, you know, we have partner work that we do in class and all that. And so actually one of our homework assignments that we have for next week, because we're off this week, but one of the homework assignments we have is, you know, looking for the risks involved. And, you know, my teacher just for these past few weeks he's been honing the idea of like, oh, hey, like it would be so boring to go see a play, you know, drop, you know, $20+ or whatever. And, you know, it's just like such a boring story, you know, whereas if there's risks involved and all of that, it makes it so much more interesting. Especially if there's like obstacles to like reach your goal, because it's like if you're trying to accomplish something and someone's like, oh yeah, sure, like I'll let you pass, or I'll let you do this. It's like that's too easy and too boring. But you know, if there's like an obstacle involved, then that makes it so much more exciting. So this kind of reminded me of class in a weird sense. But anyway, moving on. So the Hell Train is actually getting stopped, or actually got stopped by Dorian Frog. They couldn't even reach the dock of the station when they get stopped. So what Dorian Frog does to stop this train is she has like a weapon in hand, and that's where she unleashes, what's his name? Polak. So Polak is a character that we're going to meet in the next chapter, but we kind of see part of what he can do right now. And so he unleashes this mucus green thing that freezes the train for a sec. And so while this is happening, Levi shows up to the control room, and that's where he kills Ryu-an, who was debating whether he wanted to close the dock or leave it open, because obviously Lee, I'm spazzing on his name right now, but he is ordering for the dock to get closed. Meanwhile, the daughter, So Young, who lost all her power basically, she's trying to tell Ryu-an, like, hey, like, please leave it open, don't close it. And while he was debating this, I mean, Levi showed up, killed the soldiers that were keeping watch outside, and then he kills off Ryu-an as well. And he himself pulls the lever so that it closes the dock. The assistant engineer sees this, okay? And Hwa-ryun then tells him, like, hey, go ahead and open the train doors. Like, she almost kind of had an idea, like, oh, well, we're not going to be able to, like, make it through. So now it's, like, plan B, or maybe this was plan A all along. And so by opening these train doors, it surprises Dorian at first, but then it fully startles her when she sees who is the first person to emerge, and it's White. So at first I was suspecting, like, oh, okay, does she know White at all? Because why would she react that way? But then I was like, well, maybe it was just, you know, she kind of sensed the energy coming off of him, and she could sense that he was really strong. And so that's probably what the startledness was all about. So anyway, two of her men show up, and they're like, oh, hey, we'll handle this dude for you. And then she's like, no, like, you guys don't understand. Like, don't do anything to him. And frickin' White made me laugh because he was like, too late, and he kills them. So I thought that was very enjoyable to see. And though I was suspecting that Dorian probably knew him, I feel there is one person who might, and that would be Seon-hee Ha. She came out last chapter, but, you know, with me naming all those characters, I kind of bypassed her, which was probably a bad idea. But anyway, I will formally introduce her now, and here's an image of her even. And so she is the 2nd Division Commander and a high ranker as well. And I mean, based on her last name, Ha, she's got to be from the Ha family, right? And so I feel like she knew him from before, because White is from the REA family. She's probably more familiar with Joaquin, because White was the name that kind of came up when he, you know, formed himself with all these clones. So, yeah, and I want to know what the backstory is between the both of them, because there's clearly something there. Because when she asked, when she was, like, confused and she's like, White? Like, I feel like there was more to it than just, like, oh, like, you know, this dude wearing all white, like, there was more to it than that, honestly. So I feel like she knows him from before, or maybe she's heard of him. So I guess it's a matter of time before we see if that's true or not. But anyway, to conclude this chapter, it ends with I like to call him the train conductor, but he is the assistant engineer. He puts the train into like this crazy speed setting, and it's all in an effort to make it past the closing dock doors. Because like they're starting to close, but it's like they could probably still try and make it somehow, but it's a long shot. So that ends chapter 317. I guess I can go ahead and go into the blog notes now, just so we keep it all in order. So we'll start with the end note. The king of show-off, White. Let's give him a pass for now, since he looked pretty badass. And then White is a pretty bright enough word itself, but White in Tower of God doesn't seem to have a bright personality, rather seems to have a personality disorder. Anyway, after his meeting with Gustang, the White coin is on the rise again. Of course, he's known to be this area's legendary slayer, only based on hearsay. So what will actually happen, I would not know. This episode feels like a bumpy introduction in many ways. Personally, I'm feeling a bit down these days, but I try my best to elevate the tempo of the work, which isn't really an easy task. So I hope one day we can be both on the rise in various ways. So yeah, based on his next set of blog notes, he does mention that he's been having neck problems. I mean, you know, drawing for who knows how long each day, you know, I can imagine that would definitely strain your neck. So poor SIU, he deserves some rest. I feel it's been a while since he's gone on break, so hopefully he takes one soon because he deserves it. But anyway, I guess I kind of agree on the bumpy introduction. I mean, we're kind of jumping all over the place, but I mean, there's like so many characters and so many elements involved with this chapter that it kind of has to be that way, you know? So, you know, it's not a bad thing that it's a bumpy introduction. It's just, you know, there's so much going on, and it's just like, ooh. Gotta balance it a little bit, you know? Anyway, it seems like Hwaryun is temporarily in charge of Kun's role in Bomb's team this time, which I totally agree on. Like, I didn't even think about it. So, I mean, I appreciate you guys reaching out and always being like, hey, like, the blog notes. I know several of you had reached out about it in the past, and, you know, I've gone some weeks where it's like I couldn't find the blog notes, so I wouldn't do them. But it's just like, it's always so enlightening to see these and read through them. Because, yeah, like, I didn't even think about that, and I totally agree with SIU saying this. Like, Hwaryun is, like, you know, the female Kun of the group, I guess. All right, so anyway, continuing on with that. If Kun is an elite who is good with petty tricks, I like my pettiness, you know. Hwaryun is more like the one who pulls strings from behind and possesses dark secrets. That she does. I mean, yeah, I feel like she's like the one like in charge of everything, you know. And yeah, she does possess those secrets because, you know, even like Andrasi was suspicious of the whole like, okay, what's going on with White and like the clone and all that, like, you know. But that's why I like Hwaryun. She's like such a cool character. All right, anyway. Well, as some of you may already know, aside from whether they are rankers or high rankers, the presence of a guide has a huge impact on a battlefield. That's how special the princesses with the 13 months getting paired up with guides means. Just because Evan was shown to be scolded by Yuri on many occasions, he is not someone to be walked over, which is so true. Again, I love these blog notes, guys. I'm so happy you guys like recommended these to me so much. I definitely agree on that as well. You know, Evan is just amazing, and like he's not just like some assistant dude to the princess. Like he's a big deal as well. And so, you know, even he's looking, you know, and his part of his duties is to look out for Yuri as well, because even in the next chapter he's kind of warning her like, hey, like, can we really trust Hwaryun? I mean, she works for Fu, she could be tricking us, and you know. But yeah, I mean, especially the whole point that SIU makes here about, you know, having the 13 months, like, you know, plus a guide. That's a pretty big deal. And I can see how that's going to play a role in the next chapter. So we won't cover that yet until we get to it. All right, finishing up the blog here. Anyway, although White still has a long way to go to be considered as the completed state, he looks pretty strong coming out from the train. As shockingly as it is, current White with the spell being cast off is ranked as a regular. Looks like there is a chance that he will wreck the ecosystem just as much as an irregular. All right, so I hope you check next week to see what will happen to the white coin on the rise, and please take care of your health since the weather is getting chilly a little. So yeah, I didn't even think about the whole like spell being cast off, but maybe that was part of the compromise, or I can't think of the right word. I want to say regulations so bad, and that's not right. But basically the deal that White made with his final clone. So maybe that kind of had something to do with it. Or I don't know if that was something that was addressed prior to. But yeah, I didn't realize that a spell had been cast off. So that would explain why White can't keep his full potential. But again, that's for next chapter. I'm getting ahead of myself here.